Hey, Jane Harrington here. I've got a tip for you today. So, if you're like me, you are a very busy working individual with a lot going on in your life and you take notes all the time. My brain is just crazy because I'm also an educator. I'm homeschooling my children full time and I'm working full time. I'm running a business. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. I'm doing so many different things and I can't keep track at any given time. I've got 3 or 4 things going on. I can't keep track of it all unless I write it down. So I end up with, a bunch of notebooks like this, and I have a notebook for everything. The problem is you start to get too many notebooks and they fill up. And so in my job, I've been filling up notebooks left and right. So what I decided to do was the next step, I went to this Mead refillable notebook that you can open these up and you can pop in your own sheets of paper. I thought, that way I can just get rid of what I don't need. Like every month I'll go through it and, it didn't work so well. First of all, this is okay. It's a good idea, but these are kind of bulky. When you go to take your notes, they're kind of in the way and it's too bulky and it's not exactly what I was wanting. So, I'm going to show you the wonder of the Rocketbook. Now, I'm not in any way affiliated with Rocketbook or the company. I'm just a fan of it. I'm a loyal user. And someone was asking me a question about it today. I recently did a Kickstarter with them because they have a new version coming out, and I posted it like a good consumer will when you want to do a review or something. So consider this my video review of Rocketbook. I'm not an expert on it, but I'm going to show you what I know about it. So first of all, the Rocketbook is going to solve all your problems as far as note taking because you can digitize your notes and you don't have to keep them. They wipe right away. Let me show you how that works. So here is my Rocketbook Everlast. Now I've not written in, but you can write in where each of these goes. Each of these symbols means something, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. First, let me get down to the bare bones of this awesome notebook. Let's look at the paper. The paper of this notebook, can you see, it is like regular paper, except it's a lot smoother. Now, this particular one has the dots. It does come lined, it does come gridded, it comes in several different formats. This is just the regular dotted kind. So it's very smooth. It feels a little bit like art paper, the super smooth, like the marker paper. That's what it reminds me of. Now, it only works with the Pilot friction pens. And this is here, can you see this is a Pilot friction pen? The difference in the Pilot friction pen is it is actually erasable. You don't have to use it on the Rocket notebooks, and excuse my thing, I've been crafting today. I'm a paper crafter, so I've been stamping. So let me show you here. If we're going to write with our pen, it writes just like a normal pen. But this end here, it's kind of a hard rubber is what it feels like. This is erasable. The friction of this, the heat that's generated in the friction of this pen is going to erase my ink. Let me go this way with it so you can see it better. Can you see how this erases? Now, I will say it is not a perfect erase. You can sort of kind of see where I pressed, but the ink itself is gone. So this is far superior to, if you remember in the 80s, we actually had erasable pens. They had a little crappy eraser at the end. They were horrible. They did not work at all. This is far superior to that. My only problem with the friction pen is when I'm writing, the ink is not always as smooth or vibrant as another ballpoint pen, but it is still, for me, good enough for my purposes. I found that I'm replacing the friction pens, all my other pens I'm replacing with friction, because, look at this, look how easy it is to erase it. You just erase and bam, it's gone, just like a pencil. And so I make mistakes all the time. I love these things, but the friction pen is what you will use when you're using your Rocketbook. So this is the letter size Rocketbook. When you write on it, I'll just, I'll write my son's name. You can write just like normal. And you see there's a bit of a sheen to the ink. That's because it is not dried yet. It does take a second or two to dry, maybe a little longer than that. Now I'm going to blow on it a bit. And now it is dry. So, that's how long it takes to dry. If you don't wait for it to dry, if you're a little impatient and you just close your book up, it might kind of smudge just a bit or get onto the other pages. It's happened to me a few times. To me, it's not a big deal because I leave my books open and I just take notes as I go. Sometimes I will section out and say, phone calls. So whenever I get a phone call, I write, my notes down here about the phone call. If my boss calls, I might write my boss's notes at the top, or, however you want to organize it is fine. So once you get your writing the way you want it, you might be done with it. Maybe you're done with these phone calls and you're ready to move on. The Rocketbooks come with a cloth. You just get it damp, and then you wipe away your writing, and it leaves no residue. See, it's simple as that. It's completely reusable, and it just takes a second or two for the paper to dry. This paper is not harmed by water. The water actually doesn't do a thing to it. It's not like typical paper. And you see, once it is dry, then I can just start writing again. I'll wait for this. I'll give it another second or two to dry. I can see it evaporating already. And now it is ready to write again. Oh, it's not quite dry. You can see there are a few spaces I missed. That's because I didn't wait long enough. So the cool thing, after you are done, you just erase it, and bam, you're ready to go. These are great to take with you on, wherever you're going. If you're going to a business meeting or something, you can take this wherever you go. Now, you'll notice at the bottom, there is a, what are those called? There's a name for those things. The scan codes. And there's also these symbols. These symbols tell it where you want it to go. And so you can set, there's an app. There's a Rocketbook app. Whoops, there it is. And when you go into the app, what you do is you click on this. So I'm just going to scribble a bit. And so I'm going to line up and make sure that this little scan bar is down there. It's hard to do with one hand on the thing. I'm going to position it all the way up, and it's scanning it now, and it took a picture. So when I go into my app, there is what I took a picture of, you see. And I can tell it based on these symbols. I can assign each of these symbols. Maybe the apple goes to my email. Maybe this one goes to my work account. This one might go to my Google Drive. This one might go to my OneDrive. And I can set up in those particular files, I can set up where I want this to go. So say I want this to be emailed to my son because this one is going to be his work, so his homework. So I can write down Kai homework, and I can write his assignment down or his research or whatever. I take my picture, and then in the app, which this is my husband's, it's actually not set up, but in the app, you can instantly email it to whoever you want just by choosing one of these. Or you can, if you don't have these chosen, then you can manually choose it in the app where you want it to go. So you can email it to certain places. You can save it in your Google Drive, your OneDrive, any place in the cloud where you assign it to. You just, set it up on the app. It's super easy. It's very quick. And you can even do art on here. You can do sketches. Sometimes I will do a layout idea, or I'm a writer, so I will save my writing notes in here. And that way I don't have my notebooks laying all around. So this is the Rocketbook Everlast. They come in several different kinds. Here is the little memo. It's the Rocketbook Everlast Mini. And This one I keep in my purse, so this is an example. Can you see how this is a little bit smudged? And up here, there's some writing. I didn't let this dry enough before, sometimes when you're on the go, you're in a hurry, and I wrote that down and I closed it up, and it smudged. It's not a big deal. Again, it just wipes right off. And actually, I don't need this anymore, so I can get rid of that. Now, I don't digitize all my notes. I only digitize the ones that I want to save. So sometimes I just, keep this on hand if my kids. Sometimes if we go out to eat, and we have a big menu order, I'll say, okay, we need a number 1 combo with cheese and a Dr. Pepper to drink, a number 4 combo, and so on and so on and so on. So that way I can organize, and when I get up to the counter or to the speaker, I can just say, hey, we need a number 1 combo with cheese, a Dr. Pepper, so and so and so. So it's just, and then when I'm done, I just erase it. It's just a quick way for me to organize my thoughts because I can't keep it all straight in my head. Another thing to keep in mind, the friction pens come in different styles. They come in different colors. This one's red. This particular one, you'll notice the end is a little bit of a different color. It has a cap. Honestly, the cap is okay, but I like personally the clicker style better. The reason is the cap, when you put it on the end, what happens? Now I can't erase. I have to take the cap off to erase. So to me, that's just a little bit of a hassle. I like the clicker ones because the eraser's right there and I can write something and then just instantly erase it without having to take the cap off. That's just my personal preference. It does come in several colors. Now here, this is not actually made by Friction, or by Rocketbook. This is a portfolio binder made by this company here. It's called Kaitiaki. And I love this binder because it keeps everything together. Here are my Friction pens. And see, here's some different colors it comes in. I can keep my business cards all in here. I can stick some papers or whatever in there. I can keep my my extra blah, 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 you know what I'm talking about, that in there. Now, on this side, I keep my book, and it does have a ribbon so that you can, mark your page. Now, you'll notice this one's a little different. This is a Rocketbook Fusion, same exact concept. The only difference is this one is pre-printed. I use this one a lot for work. So my projects and my tasks, the due date, the estimated time, and when it's done, I check it off. This is also great for if your children are in school or if they're homeschooling. You can give them their homework assignments and tasks, and they have to fill this out and check it off as well. And then when it's done, since my kids are often at home during the day while they're working on their schoolwork, sometimes while I'm at the office, they can snap a picture of this, send it back to me to prove that it's done. They can write their essays or their research out in here. They snap a picture, email it back to me to show me it's done. They also have, this is a weekly organizer. Here is a monthly organizer. Here are this is wonderful for work because this gives you your plan of action with your objectives. And then, of course, in the back are more of the blank sheets. And then here's some lined sheets here. So they have the dots and the lines. This really covers a lot of different kinds of jobs because no matter if you're a project manager, a creator, a writer, an educator, no matter what, there's something for you with Rocketbook. They also have an executive size, which my husband has, and he has misplaced it. He's kind of an absent-minded professor, so I'll give him a pass on that. But the executive size is about that big. The new one is the legal pad, which is the one that I got the Kickstarter for. So here's the last thing I'm going to show you. This is wonderful if you're an educator or if in your job you have to give presentations. So if you have a whiteboard, you might want to grab these. These are $15. They're called Rocketbook beacons. These little orange triangles, you put them in the corners of your whiteboard. So say my whiteboard is say it's just yay big, okay? I'm going to put those in the corners of my whiteboard, and I'm going to give my presentation. So I'm going to be writing up, 3 plus 3, whatever you're doing. You do your presentation here, and then you take your phone in the Rocketbook app, you take a photograph in the app, and this instantly turns it into the Rocketbook digitize thing, so that, again, you can send this to your students. If you have an email list, you can set up one of those tabs to email to your students on your email list. Or it can save it as a file. You can actually, in the app and in the file, you can add to it. So say you've snapped your picture here and you want to add some things to it before you send it to your students, you can do that. You can draw on it, or you can type and add whatever you need to. Maybe you wanted to highlight this particular part or whatever. So that's how you can turn your whiteboard into a digitized file to send or to save. It is great also for researchers. If you guys are researching anything, there you go. Use your 8x8 or 8-foot whiteboard. Do all your research, snap a picture, and there it's instantly digitized. Honestly, for $15, you can't beat that. And this is a cool technology. It does not feel sticky. It does not feel like a sticker. There's no tack to it at all, but it clings to whiteboards. So fantastic for scientists, for educators, for business folks, homeschoolers, anybody. Comes with a little pouch, and you can't beat $15 for that. So that is kind of my messy little rundown of Rocketbook. And I got my first ones on Amazon, but now I'm also ordering from the company because the company has more variety. They offer more products on their website. And honestly, the Rocketbook has changed my life because I'm almost entirely paperless now. That's saying a lot, considering that I'm an artist and a crafter, a paper crafter at that. So paper means a lot to me. Paper's a big thing in my life. But for those of you that are like me that take a lot of extensive notes and want an easy way to organize those notes, Rocketbook, I'm sold. It's the way to go, and hopefully it will help you out in your daily life too. So get out there and check out the Rocketbook. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.